Hey guys, for this video today, I will be discussing some very interesting rumors regarding the Boston Bruins' plans for their new alternate uniform for the 2019-2020 NHL season. And these rumors are quite interesting. And once I get around to it, honestly, I wasn't expecting this to be what the Bruins may just be going with for next season when they do bring out a new alternate uniform. And for the record, the Bruins are one of multiple teams listed on the the Adidas NHL jersey catalog as one of the teams getting a new third jersey for next season. But for anybody like myself hoping to see the 2016 Winter Classic sweater that the Bruins wore against the Montreal Canadiens, I hear that that's not going to be happening. And the Bruins will not be bringing that sweater back as their full-time third again in the Addy Zero era of hockey jerseys. And I've got to admit, I did say in some recent videos that I was thinking that I could actually see the Bruins probably bringing that sweater back. And I've got to make a confession. As I say that, I do have a bias because I got to say that I feel that the Bruins did a very, very good job with that sweater because although it wasn't brown like the original, which has always been one thing that I wish they would have done instead of just making it black, I do have to say that the Bruins and at the time Reebok did a wonderful job with their 2016 Winter Classic uniform as a whole. I honestly feel that the Bruins hit it out of the ballpark and they really did create a very, very nice uniform. And honestly, I was hoping that they were going to bring it back as a third jersey for next season because in this current era of Adidas NHL jerseys, the Addy Zero collars, in my opinion, have been absolutely horrendous. And the Bruins 2016 Winter Classic sweater is one jersey where you could either give it the regular black Addy Zero collar treatment or even the new Addy Zero turtleneck rounded collar design that has been used on every single Winter Classic jersey since Adidas took over the jersey contract from Reebok. And either of those collar designs in plain black would still allow that sweater to look terrific. Even with the shiny NHL shield and even with the dimpled Addy Zero shoulders, the Bruins could bring it back, that sweater back in the Addy Zero jersey cut with one of those two collar options that I mentioned in plain black, and that uniform would still look good. So that, in my opinion, is a bit of a bummer. But for anybody hoping to even see the 2010 Winter Classic uniform make a comeback, which is also an absolute gorgeous uniform as a whole and a gorgeous jersey too, unfortunately, from what I know, we are out of luck on that too. Now, this past season was the Bruins' third appearance in the Winter Classic event. This past season, for the 2018-19 season Winter Classic game, they played the Chicago Blackhawks. And when they played the Blackhawks, they wore this sweater, where it was actually, believe it or not, from what I know, this was actually not a true throwback sweater that the Bruins brought out this past season. Because instead of this B logo, just the capital B without the spokes and without the circle behind it, just a plain block letter B, they actually had, with this version of this iteration of this uniform here, they actually had I believe it was the third Boston Bruins logo in their history, where it had the little bear and then it said Boston and then Bruins underneath. And that was the logo that was on this uniform design originally. But for this outdoor game, Adidas and the Bruins decided to put on their basic capital block lettered B logo on the front instead of that logo, which makes this sweater, or makes that sweater that you saw there, a mix of eras between the mid to late 1920s and the early to mid 1930s, where they used the capital block letter B logo from the Bruins uniforms from around 1932 to 1935, and they put that on the sweater that the Bruins wore from the mid-20s to the very early 1930s. And I know that because I saw that on the unofficial NHL uniform database website, which is nhluniforms.com. And thanks to that website, that's how I know that the Bruins Winter Classic sweater from this past season wasn't actually a true throwback. The jersey design, however, was a throwback of the mid-20s through to the early 1930s, but the logo, just the basic capital letter B logo, was from the early to mid-30s uniforms. So the logo is from the 30s, the sweater design is from the mid-20s to the very, very early 1930s until they changed it in, let's see here, I'll actually check that website, 1932. But anyways, with the Bruins Winter Classic design this past season, although I would agree with anyone that says or feels that it would be a decent third jersey or even a decent throwback sweater to wear now and then, I totally agree. But for it to be a full-time third, the Bruins would probably have to wear it for the majority of the time on the road, because in the modern-day 21st century National Hockey League, the home team wears a dark uniform and the away team wears white. And I mean, they could do what the New Jersey Devils did this past season with their white 80s and early 1990s white throwback uniform and just wear it for 4 games as a special heritage uniform, just like what the Devils did this past season. And honestly, for anybody curious, I mean, I honestly felt that it was great to see the Devils bring that jersey back, especially considering that they've worn the red one from the 80s for at least one game a year for multiple seasons for most of the past decade. So that was great to see the Devils do that. And could the Boston Bruins technically do that this coming season? Absolutely. So for that reason, I just want to warn everybody about what I'm about to get into, because there is still a chance that what I'm about to get into could actually be wrong. But I don't think it is. I don't think it is because let's just say it sounds pretty legitimate to me. And, I could always be wrong, but you know what? It would make more sense for the Bruins to have a dark third jersey, or even if it's a heritage sweater, rather than a white one to wear even as a heritage sweater. So here is what I've been hearing. For anybody curious, it sounds like the Boston Bruins are actually going to continue to wear that, or will have a new third jersey next season that actually continues to utilize this capital letter B from the 1930s. I mean, considering that the Boston Bruins were initially founded in 1924, where their first season was the 1924-25 season, this season, or 2019, is their 95th year of existence as a franchise. So for them being a 95-year-old NHL team, it would make sense, and it would be a nice idea, in my opinion, and a great time for them to bring out a special throwback jersey of some sort. But here's what I've been hearing. I hear that this new Bruins third jersey is actually going to have the same logo, the same capital letter B as this past season's Winter Classic sweater, except it will be in golden yellow with white trim, instead of brown with golden yellow trim. Now, this uniform, from what I have read, is more of a faux back design because it's not totally accurate to the sweaters that the Bruins wore from the late 40s through to the mid 1950s that had a gold capital letter B as the logo. So from what I know, this is going to be more of a faux back. And you know what? For me, it doesn't bother me at all because you know what? For me, actually, I shouldn't say that. I mean, for me, what's most important is that it looks good. But I do got to admit, if you're going to do a uniform based off of the 1940s or the early to mid 1950s, I would much rather the Boston Bruins go all the way and actually do a genuine throwback. But from what I know, the Bruins' new third jersey for next season is going to be heavily inspired by their uniforms worn between the late 1940s through to the mid 1950s, where it'll be black. It'll have a golden yellow Addy Zero rounded collar style, which will make the Bruins the first NHL team to have a full-time third jersey with the Addy Zero rounded collar, which if this is true, I'm all for it, especially if this uniform is supposed to pay homage to the Bruins jersey and to uniform history through the late 40s through to the mid 1950s. So what I also know about this uniform is that it is going to be, for the most part, a throwback. That's what I have heard. But I've also heard that there's going to be a stripe, some gold and white striping on the arms and around the waist. And I'm not sure if it's a gold, white, gold striping pattern just like their regular home jersey, or if it's maybe a white, gold, white. I still have not seen it yet. But I've also heard that maybe the striping could be a little bit different. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm thinking if anything, I could maybe see the striping all together if it's on a black jersey where maybe the striping is spaced, maybe it's together. I'm not entirely sure. But from what I know, it'll have some gold and white striping on the arms and around the very bottom of the waist of the jersey as well. So that's what I'm hearing. I'm not sure if this is correct or not, but that's what I've heard. I've heard, or from what I've read online, it seems like the Bruins are going to go with some type of design that is heavily inspired by elements of Bruins uniforms throughout the late 1940s through to the mid 1950s, where the logo on the front will be a golden yellow B, the same logo as their 2019 Winter Classic sweater had, and it will also have a rounded collar from what I know. Maybe that's wrong. I'm not sure yet because I still haven't seen it, but it's pretty interesting stuff. So basically it sounds like it's going to be a 40s, 50s throwback. And although I would have liked to have seen Boston bring back their 2016 Winter Classic uniform as a full-time third again, well, I gotta be honest, I do feel that at the same time, I mean, if the Bruins want to bring out some different throwback sweater this upcoming season, I'm all for it. I mean, it's the Boston Bruins. They have quite a few uniform designs that they could reach back into their uniform history and bring out of the vault. And, I'm a fan of the idea of the Bruins doing a black third jersey that has the gold capital B on the front. So, could this be a third jersey, a full-time one? I'm not sure. I mean, by the sounds of what I've been hearing, It could even be a New Jersey Devils type of situation and slash Edmonton Oilers type of jersey situation last season, where the Boston Bruins might just have this as a special heritage sweater to wear for maybe 4 or 5 games for the next season or two. And if they want to do that too, I'm all for it. I mean, who knows? Maybe they actually surprise us and have a heritage uniform and a new third jersey design. I mean, we still don't know. I mean, this past season, the Carolina Hurricanes dropped a bomb. Not only did they have a new alternate uniform, but they also brought out a special Hartford Whalers throwback uniform for 2 games this past season. So, if the Hurricanes can do it, why can't Boston? I mean, who knows? Maybe we're getting a past Winter Classic uniform as a third, and maybe we're getting a heritage sweater on top of that. But if I were... See, for me, here's what I think. I'm thinking that what I'm hearing is probably not just a heritage jersey. It's probably going to be their new full-time third. And I think it'll be their one and only jersey for next season that's new. Or new to the Boston Bruins uniform rotation in the 21st century. But anyways, by the sounds of it, I would say that if I had to pick between whether I think it's going to be just a heritage sweater or a new third jersey, considering the Boston Bruins have never done a heritage thing where they've only worn a throwback 4 or 5 times in the 21st century, unless it's a Winter Classic uniform, of course, I think that this will probably be a third jersey that's probably worn like maybe 8 to 12 times next season. But at the same time, maybe it's just given a heritage designation, just like the Winnipeg Jets WHA throwback they wore last season. The Oilers Royal Blue throwbacks they wore for 4 games this past season, which should be worn as their home jersey. I can't say it enough. And of course, the Devils with their always eye-pleasing 80s white throwback. I'm glad that they brought that out this past season. Hopefully they'll bring it back again this coming season. But with this Boston Bruins uniform, once again, interesting rumors. So once again, to summarize and to mention it one last time, here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing it'll be a uniform design, or from what I've read on the internet, I've read that it's supposedly going to be a design based off of past uniforms worn between the late 1940s and the mid-1950s. I've also read that it'll supposedly have the same capital B logo as this past season's Winter Classic sweater, except instead of being brown with gold trim on it, it'll be a golden yellow B with white trim on it. And it might even have the rounded Addy Zero collar on it, and it'll have gold and white striping on the arms and around the waist as well. So by the sounds of that, it sounds like it's quite possibly a late 40s throwback. And if that's the case, I'm a fan. I think that, you know what, for a third jersey, and for the fact that the Bruins are 95 years old this year, considering they started in 1924. I mean, it would be a great time for a throwback like that. So perhaps a late 40s throwback is exactly what it is. I mean, it is the Addy Zero era after all, and it seems like Adidas always likes to take a throwback design and put some tweaks to it, which I'd rather just see a genuine throwback myself, but if that's the way they're going to go, we can't change it, and that's just the way it's going to be. But, you know, they did that with the Bruins 2019 Winter Classic sweater, and it actually looked really quite nice in my opinion, and I've been a fan of it since the moment it was unveiled, to be honest. And although I do wish that there was some white space on the arms where the arms meet the shoulder yoke, but that's just a matter of my personal opinion, of course, But basically, I mean, maybe this uniform has a slightly different striping arrangement from the original, from the 40s. You never know. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's gold and white striping together. Maybe it's gold, white, gold with the striping all put together with no black space. Maybe it's just a gold stripe on each arm and one white stripe. You never know. And then around the waist, it'll have the same design as what's on the arms, I'm sure. But anyways, you guys, until this design is actually legitimately unveiled, we'll have to wait and see what I'm talking about here. And once again, I can't say this enough. Until a uniform is actually officially unveiled, there's always a chance that any of these rumors that I mention here in my videos could be wrong. So always keep that in mind until it's unveiled. Just kind of take it with a grain of salt, because I could be right, but I also very well could be wrong. But all I can say at this point on my end is that I thought this was something that was worthy of doing a video on, because, you know, the idea of the Bruins getting a third jersey, you know, I gotta say, there are certain Winter Classic uniforms, as I've said earlier in the video, that I've really liked. I've always really liked. The 2010 one more so than the 2016 one when it was first unveiled, because at the time I did not like the Reebok rounded collars, which I'd like to go back in time and ask myself from 3 years ago what the hell I was thinking, or 3 or 4 years ago, or whatever, what the hell I was thinking, because those collars were gorgeous. But the Bruins 2016 Winter Classic sweater, that's one uniform that I love. And the 2010 one, it was beautiful as well. So I was kind of hoping to see one of those come back. But if the Bruins are going to do a late 40s, early to mid 50s throwback black jersey, you know what, if that's their plan, I'm all for it. It sounds like it's going to be a very, very nice alternate uniform for the Bruins next year. But anyways, you guys, yeah, until it's officially unveiled, these are just rumors, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about these rumors. And of course, as usual, folks, as I always say, until my next video, take care, and of course, as usual, everyone, thanks for watching, and take care, and as always, bye for now.